Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Authentic You. Brittany here, and today I wanted to talk to you about relationships. Yes, we are diving into relationships, and I wanted to start off with my first video on relationships, starting nice and fresh, kind of from the beginning, and that is, what do you do when you have that heartbreak, when you have that initial breakup, or when you not necessarily when you come to that initial breakup, even sometimes it's when you come to the realization that things are ending, which can sometimes lead, a couple days after, a couple weeks after, depends on some people, it could be a couple months after or whatever. Anything goes in this beautiful game of life, right? So what do you do when you're kind of in that state of, oh my gosh, what do I do? I'm heartbroken and I have hit the lowest of lows and I don't even know where to go from here. Now, today's video, I just want to talk about some tips and tricks to keep in mind to create an optimal environment for healing, right? So what does it look like to create an environment for healing versus kind of going through, what do I do in this case scenario, that case scenario, and so on and so forth. So we're going to talk about an optimal environment to aid in your healing and moving forward from heartbreak. So number one, I have about 9 steps, if you will, and they're not really steps, they're more just kind of things to consider when you are wanting to heal, right? Because making the choice to heal is really just, there's going to be kind of a lot thrown at you if you are coming into that. And when you create kind of a foundation of what it means to feel safe and what it means to feel validated and loved, really, really goes so far in you coming out more empowered versus disempowered on your journey through getting through whatever it is that you're trying to get through. So first off, the first thing that I want to talk about is making the choice, right? You've kind of hit rock bottom. Your heart feels like it's literally shredding. And I'll use, I've been there and it sucks. Heartbreak really sucks. But on the flip side of that, it's also really beautiful and empowering. And I know it's really tough, right, to hear that, especially when everyone says time heals all, and you're in the middle of this zone and you don't know what's happening and your heart wants to feel one way and your mind and your ego and your programming, right, want to feel another way, and your personas come up and your rules come up, and all of these different things are kind of just throwing you for a ride of a lifetime. And to hear time heals all is like, yeah, but where do I start, right? So just start by making the choice. I can't live this way anymore, and I'm not gonna give my power to feeling so awful inside, right? I need something else. I don't know what that is yet, but I just need something else. And right there, making that decision, I need to heal. I need something better for my life, right? To get back into who I am and feel empowered and be an optimal individual for the world, right? Because we all have such beautiful purpose here, and we need to step back into our power. So making that choice of, I'm ready to heal, I'm ready to grow through whatever it is that this relationship is providing me to see, I'm ready to step into that. And that's everything. When you make that choice, sometimes it's going to get hard and it's going to get messy and you're not going to understand it. But when you make that choice to grow, you are creating that momentum within you. So first thing, you have to make a choice that you are ready to heal and you're ready to grow. And you can set that in your intention. You can literally say it right now. I'm ready to make that choice. And just put it out there. And you will start to see, when you're focused and you're ready to make that choice, and you say that, you set that as your intention, you're going to start to see that things are going to be in line with what you're asking. And the questions that you're asking are going to be answered in various ways. So really pay attention to all of the details. They all matter. All right, so after we've made that choice, next I want to talk about moving your body. It's so important, especially when we're kind of going through this transition stage. And I just want to emphasize, heartbreak does not only have to come from relationships, right? Heartbreak can be anything that we attach ourselves to or have expectations that we're kind of putting ourselves in the need of that other thing. It could be a person, place, thing, environment, situation, right, that we're attached to, that we are parting ways with, and that can really cause grief. It can cause us to say, I don't know what's next. I don't know where to go. So keep in mind that this doesn't necessarily have to pertain to a relationship. It could be any sort of grieving process. And these are just steps to create a healthy environment to optimize the healing process. So first, make a choice. Second, move your body. It's so important. I remember, I didn't know what was happening when I would wake up. My emotions were all over the place and I was spiraling, and then I was happy and grateful. But one thing that really helped was waking up in the morning and blasting my favorite empowering, that's the key word, music, and just dancing and just throwing my body around and not having a care in the world about what I looked like. I was singing and it was so healing, right, to express. So you're verbally expressing energy when you sing, and then when you're moving your body and you're dancing, you're moving around and shifting and kind of breaking up any stagnant energy that can kind of keep us down and stuck sometimes. So it's really actually aiding your body and aiding kind of this transformation process by shaking up the energy that is within our body, literally and physically. So moving your body, it can be hiking, right? You can get outside, and that's another one is self-care. So the third one's kind of self-care, and moving your body really plays into self-care pretty well, especially getting outside and moving your body. Hold on one moment. So self-care, what's really important is taking time out for you. Now, we all live different lives. Some of us are single, we don't have kids, right? We don't have anything that we really need to take care of. So it's a little easier to go to work and maybe block out an hour, half hour of the day. When you have kids, right, when you have other responsibilities, it's important to say, hey, can I block out 5 minutes in the morning, like when I wake up, 5 minutes at night before I go to bed, to kind of check in with myself. And we'll talk more about that. But first I want to talk about the importance of self-care. Now, self-care, what self-care is not is saying, I do care about myself. That's why I take care of everybody else, right? Like, because I love everybody else, and that makes me feel so good about myself. And I have to say, yes, that's true. But it's very, very important to really take time for you every single day, even if it's 5-10 minutes where you're checking in and say, you know what, how am I feeling right now? Am I feeling low? How can I bring myself up? If I'm feeling so grateful and in gratitude and love, like, can I just sit here and bask in that energy for a little while? And different ideas for self-care. Does taking baths, does that make you feel, does that kind of bring your stress levels down and make you feel connected within yourself, where you can just kind of open up and express and just feel this beautiful, loving energy that you have within you? Is it cooking? Is it getting outside and hiking, biking, doing any sort of activity, hunting here, fishing, art, any hobbies that you do? For me, I noticed doing the dishes is super meditative, and I love doing the dishes. So I do that sometimes, and it just really gets my mind off of things. It allows me to separate. So the idea of self-care is really that separation component where you can just step into who you are. You don't have to worry about where your power is going. You don't have to worry about where your energy is going, where your mind is going. You are just in you, for that amount of time that you're giving yourself. And the reason why it's so important to do even just a little bit every day is to maintain a state of homeostasis, right? Especially going through something that is a grieving process. And I guess also to add on to self-care is expression. And when we go through a grieving process, especially in relationships, I guess it could be any sort of attachments, but when we attach ourselves, there's an element of kind of this mirror reflection going on, right? So in any situation, you can learn so much about yourself. And when you separate from anything really, and in this video we're talking about relationships, so especially, it doesn't matter how long you've been in the relationship or how short you've been in the relationship, anytime that you separate, anytime a big event happens, really you can boil it down to every single day you can learn from any situation. But to give yourself love during this time of real transformation, things are shifting inside of you, things that you didn't even know were a thing, right? Like our attachments, our limited belief systems, our personas, and I'm gonna get more into what those mean, but there's gonna be a lot that's coming out. A lot of emotions, a lot of various, thoughts. And it's so important to kind of bring yourself back to a neutral space. And that's what self-care, that's what that's kind of doing, is bringing you back to that neutrality. So that way you can then work through whatever's coming up to raise your vibration and find new meaning. Because that's really what it's about, is just finding new meaning that's empowering, that's full of love and full of gratitude. And that truly will set you free. So self-care is so, so important. I can't emphasize that enough. And figure out what works for you. Because, baths might work for me, but for other people, it's like, I don't really like baths. And I don't know what works for me. So try different things. Go for walks every day. If you have the means, sit outside in the sun. Self-care is just, it's anything really that works for you that you're able to express. Journaling's so important. If you take forever journaling, I know sometimes normally I can sit down and write for hours. So then I started doing voice recordings and it helped so much, right? Because then I could go on my walk and I can express myself and what I'm learning and what's coming to my mind, my thoughts that I want to reflect on more. So that's super helpful. You can do that in the car as well. Self-care, super important. So make the choice. We are going to move our body and self-care. Next, we have find your tribe and your community. This is super important because you want to surround yourself with people who are empowering, right? Who are going to help you grow through this situation that you're going through. Who is going to be there to support you in any way you need. Who's going to be there to, sometimes say, hey, I understand that you're feeling this way, but here's another perspective to kind of neutralize your situation so you're not all the way over on one side versus the other, right? Especially when you're going through breakups, it's easy to be both in victim mentality, and then depending on who you are, especially my codependents up in here, it's easy to also just be the villain and completely blame yourself for everything, right? And it's so important to have those people who are willing to kind of bring you back from both sides and just be straight up and honest. And also vice versa, if you contact them and you say, hey, I just need to feel validated, I just need to feel loved, I just need to feel heard, right? It's so important also, this is a disclaimer, guide your tribe in what you need, right? Because sometimes even the people that love you so dearly and the most, the people who you are so close with, sometimes they still don't know how to help you. And that's okay, right? Because sometimes it's like, what do I even say? So helping them help you is optimal for both parties, right? So don't be afraid to also guide people through what you need, and yeah, just let it flow. But the most important thing is that you come out of that conversation with those people feeling loved, feeling empowered within you, right? Empowered meaning, that everything's gonna be okay, and everyone deserves love and happiness, really. I think that is so important, is not holding on to any sort of negative connotation. And it's gonna happen, right? We are all human, and getting through, I remember getting through my breakup, like, I had really high highs and really low lows. And, sometimes I just needed to call my friends and say, like, am I crazy? Like, please just tell me I'm not crazy. Or, like, I can't get through this, or I can't overcome this feeling and I don't know why, right? And so it's not a matter of being positive all the time. I want to make that clear, because that is super important, to allow yourself to feel what you're feeling. And I'll get into that in the next video, is like, kind of, what does all this mean and how do I kind of break it down and work through some of the emotions that are coming up. Here is just, we're creating an environment for healing to take place. So having your tribe, leaving these conversations feeling empowered, feeling that loving, understanding energy, and just, feeling empowered to move forward. Who are you, right? Having these conversations with people, like, what makes you amazing and unique, and what do you want to do moving forward in your life? Who do you want to be? Who do you want people around you to be like? And just kind of looking into that aspect, and also helping you, if you're interested, trying to see new perspectives. Like, what am I not seeing in this situation? I do have to say, a disempowering conversation is kind of one that leaves you worse off than you went into the conversation, and feeling, when you have those conversations with some people who just don't know what to say too, and it's not a fault of theirs if they don't know what to say or what to do. And sometimes you enter conversations and it's more about kind of, you're right, they're wrong, you're the best, they're awful, and that's just really vague. But you can tell the difference in a conversation, right, and your support system. So I highly recommend kind of looking into a very high vibrational, loving, supportive, encouraging tribe to really work through this with, especially in those stages where you're super vulnerable and you don't understand what's happening. You have really high highs, really low lows, and you're just trying to make sense of what's happening around you and what's going on inside. So your tribe's really important. If you don't have anybody around you, there's an amazing online community. Join different healing groups. Those are super helpful, as well as looking online, even YouTube, for all of these videos, right? Videos to help make sense of what's going on, and then go back and reflect and journal, voice record, anything that can help you take notes, so you can kind of create charts if that's what's helpful, to figure out kind of another way of looking at what's going on. And the more that you widen your perspective, the less energy these kind of negative things have, because it's like, okay, well, I feel this way and I acknowledge that, but there's all these other things that could possibly have happened too. So it's really important not to judge yourself for what is coming up, and just allow and be, and just kind of really be with yourself as much as possible. And I know that's easier for some than others, but really kind of allowing space to really sit with yourself and reflect, because sometimes when we're with ourselves, we feel a little bit more safe and comfortable to be vulnerable, right? So be kind to yourself. That was the perfect segue. Be kind to yourself and allow yourself to feel your emotions. Allow yourself to express That's so important. And don't deny what you're feeling at all. Don't ever deny, and don't let anybody else ever tell you that you are not allowed to feel the way that you feel. Don't ever. There's a difference, right? Because if we're feeling a certain way, we don't have to identify with it. And we can always find another perspective to be had. But when we're feeling what we're feeling, our body's telling us something. There's a disharmony somewhere. And it's important to look into it, right? And we're going to talk more about that in the next video as well. So be kind to yourself. The next little bullet point that I have is to detach from your partner. And obviously, you know what your detachment needs to be. Obviously, when you create a life with somebody and you have investments, you have children, you have, homes, and you have various things that you're attached to, it's a bit harder just to let it go, right? But I'm talking about the things that are feasible and reasonable, and not from a space of hate or resentment or rejection or anger. Step into yourself and give yourself permission to say, I need this space for myself, and I need to detach for the highest good of all, for myself and for you, so that way I can heal, right? So that's from maybe social media accounts and, any trinkets, little things that maybe remind you of that individual that you can easily kind of let go of is really important. So those, and then I just have 3 more really quick. One of them is set boundaries. And this one's really hard, especially, I call out codependence. I am a recovering codependent. And, right, codependents, empaths, I guess, individuals who are super sensitive, and just individuals who never even knew what boundaries were. I was so naive to boundaries, and giving my power away, I gave it away. And learning what boundaries were and setting them was so important during kind of my process. Is like, this is what's going to work for me, right? Or saying, for example, you could say, I'm sorry, but I can't conversate with you for anything more than just what we need to separate our things for now. And that's all out of love. It's not out of hate. It's out of, I need to respect my space. This is my healing process, and I just need to separate myself from you for the time being, so that way I can heal. And in turn, that's great for them to heal as well. So it's just setting your boundaries, but also uphold your boundaries. So if you say that you're going to do something, do it and honor yourself. Because the biggest part of this healing process as well is really learning what you want and giving that to yourself. And we're going to talk a lot about that in the next video as well. So if you, so with boundaries, right, if a big thing is, I just need my space, honor that for yourself, and also make sure that you are following that with other people as well. So if you say that you need a boundary for space, make sure that you're also not crossing anyone else's boundaries too, for space, or like contacting them back and forth and kind of upholding that energy. The more that you have kind of that distance is really healthy for both of you in your growing and healing process. Get involved with your community is great for creating a very healing environment, because you're meeting new people and you're gaining new skills, and you're just putting yourself out there to really kind of get your mind off of things in a healthy way. And then finally, gift yourself space and time before jumping into another relationship. And obviously everyone's different, and wherever your heart is calling you, of course, it's important to listen to your heart. This is just something that really helped me in my healing process, was just kind of really hone in and focus on my healing, focus on finding new meaning, new perspective. That's where I was at. And I highly recommend, it's super duper important, I've found, to really give yourself this space and the love, and really kind of just surround yourself and connect with people that love you and just want to see you shine, and really make sure that you maintain that for yourself as well, and just love yourself. You're gonna rock it, and might be tough, but love yourself through it anyway. And I love you so much, and I'm here to assist you and just go along your journey with you. And thank you so much for being a part of my journey. And I hope you all have a wonderful night, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye. Love you.